Hello class, today we are doing a resource drawing of a teapot for form and space. So what a resource drawing is it's a photograph that you use as a reference to drawing. Using resources have a few rules to them. First of all, it is okay to make a direct copy of a photograph as a learning tool or for reference for original artwork. So when you are, like you did with the masterwork and like you're doing today, it's all right because you're using it to learn with. It is not okay to make a direct copy of a photograph and claim it as your own artwork. Even if it's a painting or a drawing, that's still infringing on copyright and not all right. It is okay always to use a photograph that you took as a reference for art. This is one reason why I am constantly taking pictures of everything from the sky so I can see cloud formations to plants and people and animals, because that way I can just reference my own photographs and my own collection when I go to paint something and I need to look at something. I don't need to worry about copyright or anything like that. So how you use a resource, the easiest way and most common way to use resource photos is as a reference. So you know how to draw something you don't have access to. We cannot always rely on our memory, especially when it comes to details. And for example, if you have to draw a hippo, we don't always have hippos handy. And then you can also use resources as part of a larger composition. So you combine things with other photographs for reference. For example, if you needed to draw a surfing hippo, you may not be able to find a surfing hippo to draw, and you want it to be an original composition. So you would have to combine a hippo reference that you're looking at with a beach reference and a surfboard reference and kind of figure it out. You can also draw from observation if the image is projected on a screen, which is what we're doing today. So I'm going to project an image and you are going to look at it and draw it. We've done this before when you were doing the hand exercises. And if you have the image printed, you can divide it into a grid for an accurate image. This is something that you may learn how to do later, or you probably already know how to do this. They usually teach this in middle school. I know Mr. Martin also teaches it in drafting. There's also online tools that will divide things into grid for you. But basically how it works is if you have a photograph, you divide it into an equal square grid. You divide your paper into the same square grid. And then you don't have to worry about drawing the whole thing at once. You just look at one square. Like here, it just has a little tiny bit of his hat. And the square over here, you just have to draw that little bit of a hat. You go over to your next square, more of the hat, and you draw more of the hat. This gets you a very accurate drawing as far as proportions go. It's easy to enlarge things this way. Miss Elsie teaches her technical theater students how to do this because it's also used for props and things like that. So today for your exercise, we are drawing a teapot. You need to have some blank paper, a pencil, eraser, a sharpener, and something to smudge with like a Kleenex or a Q-tip. The photograph is larger on the next side, so you'll work from that side, not this side. So your directions. The very first thing you're going to do is lightly sketch out the teapot. Just a very, very light line drawing because you want those lines to eventually go away. Make sure it fits the entire paper and check your proportions. Measure. Measure, how long that spout is from this part to this part. Okay, is that length is just a little bit less than the width of the teapot, so you know that If you measure from here to here, that this needs to be wider. Make sure that you're checking to see, like the bottom of the handle here, when it comes over, it is not even with the bottom of the spout, but the top of the handle is even, and this part of the handle hits the top of the spout. Okay, so little things like that pay close attention to. Check your angles. Remember what I taught you about holding your pencil up in the air and mimicking the angle and then bringing that to your paper? That's really important for the T-spout and the handle. If you look at the spout, it goes up, but then this part is not straight across. That's the most common mistake people make. It actually slopes down. So be sure to get the slope. And then if you look at the handle here, it's almost like an ear. This goes up, and then it goes out, and then it comes back in. Okay? Then you start shading the teapot. Remember, it's going to get really kind of a medium gray, and then you have to go back in with your eraser to erase the highlight areas where the light's shining on it the brightest, and also to add in dark areas and clean up. Check your values against your value scale. You should have all 5 values on your teapot. From number 1, the white is the highlight spots, all the way to black, which is the cast shadows, which are just under here and right along here. You have areas of shade, very dark gray, lots of medium gray, and then you have light grays. And there it is. So after you have it drawn, remember to photograph and upload. This is one from last year. It's a different teapot because I actually had white teapots that I brought in. And so you can see it's kind of got the flat bottom. It's the kettle type that you put on the stove itself. And it's just shaped a little differently, but you can still see the highlights and the shadows, and it's a pretty good job. If you are working at home, during the first class that I teach this with tomorrow, I will record a demo video of me drawing the teapot, and you can refer to that.